So, if a queen sleeps on a queen mattress and a king sleeps on a king mattress, where does a prince sleep?
Oh, I feel like this is a Prince joke, as in the singer-songwriter. Where does Prince sleep? I don't know.
An air mattress.
Oh, very good. Took me a minute there to get that. An air with a H. Yeah,
Yes.
I see. Very clever.
Very clever, Mr. Bond.
Very good. Clever girl.
Clever girl.
Hello and welcome to episode 42 of That's Class, a podcast about things we find class, hosted by two this week of your favourite class holes. As always, I'm Rory, Eat Fresh Kid, joined by Duncan, so much to watch, so little time, Malcolm. How's it going, Duncan? There is just so much to watch in so little time. However, I feel like I've watched anything I want to watch right now, and now I'm running out of things to watch.
I'm not. See, I'm the other way. It's been one of those weeks where for me, it's been exam, study,
Totally.
study, life. And then life just got in the way this week of enjoyable stuff. But I'm freer now than I was, so we'll be able to catch up on all. We've watched some stuff, but yeah, it's just been a bit mad. How's surfing life?
Surfing life's good. I don't know if you can tell from the screen, but I'm relatively burnt. Not badly burnt, but I've been out in the sun for the last 3 days. Pink, yes, a rouge. I don't know if my t-shirt will show. A little bit of
Oh, yeah, I see it a little bit there.
Yeah, it's been good actually. It got a bit bigger this weekend. The sun came out, which is lovely. Always lovely to have the sun out.
Nice.
And we've been relatively busy at the surf school, which is always good. Always seem to be repping the brand as well.
Yeah, nice.
Wherever
nice.
I go. So
there you go.
If you're ever down in Cornwall, ticket to ride. We'll sort you right out.
We'll sort you out with a ride.
It's not even our slogan. I don't know why I said that. But the slogan of mine today is Eat Fresh, because this episode is brought to you by Subway sandwiches.
Subway sandwiches. Oh, careful.
Which also reminds
Community.
Also reminds me of Community, where Subway has his name is legally changed to Subway.
Yeah.
All you can eat is a Subway.
I always eat fresh.
Always eat fresh. That's the guy from Scrubs as well, isn't it?
Yes.
And also the guy from Sunny, who is the army guy that always wears jean shorts.
Yes, it is.
Very
yes,
good.
It's jean shorts, yes.
Jean shorts from Sunny.
That's the wrestling episode as well, isn't it? Tribute to the troops.
Yeah, and Frank is the trash man. He actually kills someone.
He actually kills someone, yeah.
Great show. I love Sunny so much. Shall we dive straight into it then, Duncan?
Yes, I think we shall. Quickly, I will be slightly interjecting with things that come up because it is the Xbox game showcase this as we are recording this, and I have it up live so that we can talk about breaking news of things that have just been announced. They've just talked about Arcane Studios' next game, which seems to be some sort of vampire hunting 4-player co-op.
Ah, see, I always forgot that the TV show Arcane is based on a video game.
Yeah, that's League of Legends.
Yeah, but this is a different one. Arcane.
No,
Studios.
this is a studio's called Arcane, but the game's called Redfall. So that looked kind of interesting.
So we'll have a hot scoop on this episode, listeners.
If anything cool comes out unexpectedly.
Literally, as it comes out, Duncan's going to shout at the screen.
Sure.
And well, hopefully not shout, because
that's totally wicked.
Horrendous for my editing process, but yeah. So Duncan's going to be looking at that, and then meanwhile we'll be going through a few things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, things from this week.
And then some classic trailer time. I don't know if this is ASMR, but then I've also got this.
You're not don't eat on the microphone. People don't like
fresh.
that.
I'll eat it aside, see if you can tell. Hold on.
No, can't hear that. That's good.
You can't hear that?
Please don't.
I'll make sure I eat when you're like having a rant or something.
Oh yeah, that's the way to do it.
Also, kind of shows you when we're recording is tea time, and I've yet to eat anything, so I was quite hungry, so I got some dinner before we recorded this. Anyway, moving swiftly on to our first topic of the day, our first topic of the episode. For those of you that haven't seen all of Stranger Things Part 1, Season 4, maybe
like
skip
Duncan.
out on it. Duncan's, you've seen up to episode what?
We've watched the first 3.
3. So those of you that haven't gone past the first 3, maybe just listen, because that's all we'll talk about. We won't talk about what I've seen, because I've finished it. We'll talk about what Duncan's seen and what we think. Go.
It's great. Stranger Things Season 4, I mean, everyone's talking about it, and it seems to be really popular. We talked about it before where we're saying it was their flagship series, and it feels like it's its flagship series. I think that's very important, which I'll come back to this point. I'll come back to this point later, but it feels like it's its flagship series. I'm just, everyone's getting a time to shine, very enjoying it. I really like the new villain. Which you can tell. I
agree.
Vecna. I kind of have. It's funny because Vecna is the like quite popular in terms of, because he is that character is actually a Dungeons and Dragons villain. Turns out,
because they talk about it in episode 1.
Yeah. So it's an actual villain type, and it's kind of. There have been a couple of YouTube videos recently about the character before he was even introduced in Stranger Things.
Oh, cool.
So I'm hoping that a couple of the plot points from the game I haven't like spoiled them for myself by looking up the history of the character. But
about like how to destroy him or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, something like that. I'm thinking. So yeah, it's overall I'm really enjoying it. I'll get into the other aspects, but what about yourself? What did you think of it?
I finished it and I absolutely loved it. I was skeptical when I first went in. I think because it's been so long since the last season of Stranger Things. I went over and beyond the hype, and I was just like, it's been too long. I'll probably forget what's happening. As soon as it started, I was like, and then watched the recap. I was just like, oh fuck, yeah, totally. and then it started, and I was all in, and I really, really enjoyed the pacing. Was really good. I enjoyed the fact that it almost seems like they've gone back to season 1 in terms of storyline. And like it starts off with a D&D game, but with this new bad guy. And I can't remember if they did that in season 2 or 3. Because in season
maybe
1...
2, but definitely...
Not 3.
Not 3.
But in season 1, they talked about the Demogorgon, and then that ended up being the bad guy. And then this season, they talk about Vecna, and then the
circling back parallels.
The kid with no teeth. What's his name?
Dustin.
It's Dustin who like nicknames the bad guy. Yeah. He's like a Vecna character.
Yeah.
And it's really, really well done. I like how they've all kind of split everyone up, and everyone's in their own little story and their own little mission. How far are you in? What happened at the end of season 3?
You mean episode 3?
Episode 3. Where is everyone?
The girls have just gone to the girls have just gone to the library to look for Creel, the serial killer or murderer. The guy is the wee guy. He's dead. Killed in the middle of the road.
The wee nerd guy. Yeah.
Yeah. What else happens that? The others are Lucas has just left, the Captain America type guy. US agent type guy. The what's his name? Basketball team. He's left them probably to go help out with the others.
Yeah.
So it's kind of moving along at a fair pace. I think what you said about them, everyone getting their own story and kind of breaking them up a little bit is really clever because that gives it a very Lord of the Rings type vibe, where in Two Towers they all got, at the end of Fellowship of the Ring, they all got spread out, and this feels like that. The only storyline I'm not convinced about is the Hopper in Russia part so far.
It gets better.
I'm presuming it will. The only thing I don't like about it is it honestly felt like he died at the end of season 3, and it kind of felt almost a bit cheap that he's alive.
That he died? Oh, that he's still alive, yeah.
That he's still alive. I feel like I still go back to...
Have any of the main characters died yet?
Well, no. But this is... Oh, Bob. Bob died.
Oh, who's Bob?
Bob. Sean Astin's character in season 2.
Sean Astin.
Wow. Yeah. Come on, Samwise Gamgee.
Oh, yeah, but he wasn't really a main character. He was introduced
for that season.
That season, and then he left. Yeah. And it's the same with the super 80s guy, the ginger-haired girl's brother.
Yes, Billy.
But he was also a bad guy.
He was kind of a mainish
the original 4, you got Stroppy Will, who needs to cheer the fuck up.
I think he's quite good as Will. He's
basically so much.
Yeah, but he's suffering. I think it's interesting. I think the problem is that it's not been explained well enough why he is the way he is, because he used to be so upbeat, but he literally had the shit kicked out of him by the Upside Down multiple times. Yeah. And I don't think that has... maybe they haven't quite focused enough on that, but that's why he keeps carrying around this painting. He's been painting stuff, and I'm like, I feel like this painting is going to have something gnarly on it.
I feel like it's a painting of an anime version of him and his mate, like, kissing. What's his mate called?
Mike.
Him and Mike just kissing it up. Anime. Like
maybe
that.
In your fan fiction,
it was like, what was it? Butters did it. And it was like a picture of Craig and someone kissing an anime. Was that not a South Park painting?
I thought I was thinking that he was going to be like the character from Heroes, whose name escapes me. You remember in Heroes season 1, there was a guy who could predict the future, and he would paint, and he had a whole sequence of paintings with the future. I thought that basically he had that ability. I thought that's where they were going with it. And basically just knocked off that character from Heroes. Yeah. And he was basically painting the future. Maybe that's what he has painted. We don't know.
Yeah,
he
seems reluctant. I don't know. He seems reluctant to show anyone. So I don't know if it was the future. Excuse me. I genuinely think
he only wants to show Mike.
One of my guesses is that he might be a homosexual character, and that because he always has this weird third wheel between him, Mike, and 11,
right?
Especially in this season, and he always feels like he's trying to fight to get Mike's attention. And he mentions in an episode further down, I think, where he's like, "The people you care about most," or something, and I'm like, maybe he's a little bit gay,
maybe,
which is fine, but he's giving off quite camp vibes for me in this season. And I don't know if it's because of his jealousy of Mike and 11, and he's just kind of playing at camp, and he's not meant to be camp. But that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, and that's kind of where I see like, oh, I've painted this for you, Mike. And I'm like, that's kind of what I'm thinking anyway.
Yeah, maybe. I don't... the way he was kind of carrying it around and stuff, either it's that, or it's something really...
Or it's something else, yeah.
It's something like that. I was kind of hoping it was going to be the Heroes thing, but now you said that, I'm kind of thinking, oh no, maybe it is that.
If it has anything to do with the resolution of the plot, then it will really annoy me the fact that he's not shown anyone yet. And he was about to show Mike when he arrived and then didn't.
Yeah.
But then it makes no sense. It makes no sense for the plot and where the plot's gone. So I don't think it's
okay, fair enough.
I think it's more of like a relationship thing than anything else.
Yeah, it's a great show. Everyone's getting their part. Everyone's getting their time to shine. I like the matchups. You can tell everyone in the cast is like, they all gel well together.
Yeah. And even the new cast, Eddie's really, really good. This is Eddie in the show, not our Eddie, but Eddie's really good. He's quite funny. His little story where that's going is quite interesting. And yes, because I've seen more than you. The first 2 episodes, I was genuinely like taken aback by Vecna. I was like, fuck, this is actually quite terrifying. Like, if I can remember correctly, I don't remember being so like uncomfortable or a bit scared watching Stranger Things.
The first season was creepy.
Was it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But then Vecna was super creepy, but then again, as after season 3, you see him a lot more, and you see him as a humanoid skeleton man.
Oh no, you mean the Mind Flayers. The Mind Flayer's dead. And then you've got Vecna.
What's the Mind
Is that
Flayer?
what you're talking about? So you got the Mind Flayer was the villains in season 2 and 3.
No, yeah, I'm talking about Vecna.
Thing. Oh, you're talking about what, like Vecna for episode from
season 4.
3. And I was like, what?
I mean episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yeah, like he was quite scary to begin with, and then you kind of just get used to it, and you're like, oh. And he talks to a lot more of the characters, and they do their thing, and they try and attack him and stuff.
Of course.
But not to spoil anything, but like season 4 part 1 ends really well, and it ends, and the good thing is part 2 is in July. It's in a couple
part
of
2
weeks.
is next, and there's 2 episodes in that or something, and then
and they're like 2 or 3 episodes long,
and then there's season 5, which we only just discovered there actually is. The thing about Vecna that I was going to say is from the other day, the reason Vecna is such a great villain is because of the sort of humanoid intent. So intent is scary. If you think back to villains or monsters from movies that have intent, so the Scream mask, I cannot remember the Scream mask.
It was the
killer. Yeah, the killer.
Oh, the killer was.
I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of the killer, but
the original killer was a guy from school. He was the guy that played Shaggy.
No, I mean what they call the character. I just can't remember. And then you've got Jason Voorhees, and then you've got Mike Myers.
Michael Myers. Yeah.
Michael Myers. All those guys are scary because their intent, right? So their intent is to be scary. It's the same thing with. Did you ever see the episode of all things Doctor Who called Blink?
Nope.
Right? So it was it's one of these episodes. So to film that series, they usually have an episode where the Doctor isn't actually in it for the majority of the episode, right? And that gave them time to use that person to then film like the extra stuff for the finale.
Right.
Okay. So they made this episode. They wrote this episode called Blink. Okay. And in it, it follows this girl who is being hunted for some strange reason, or she's investigating something. And the villains in this episode are called the Weeping Angels, and they only move.
Oh, I've heard about that. They're statues, right?
They're statues, and they freeze when people are looking at them, but when you're not looking, they can move.
Right.
And basically, she watches this videotape, and the doctor's on this videotape, and he says, "Whatever you do, don't blink." And you think, "Oh my god, blinking's such a reflex." And then sure enough, there's a great scene where the guy is investigating this house and it's full of statues, and he gets panicked and he blinks and the statue moves. And it gets closer and closer and closer. And then there's another bit where he's in a basement and the basement light's on and he can see everything, and the basement light starts to flicker. And every time it flickers on and off, the statue starts moving towards him.
Oh, creepy.
It's creepy. See what I mean? So the intent is creepy, and it's because every time it's that scary thing of when you turn your back on it, it moves. And it's the same thing with Vecna. Vecna's intent is that because he's kind of humanoid now, you kind of, oh, right, okay. Yeah, he's creepy. He can walk down, like you hear the creaking of the floorboards as he walks down the steps.
Yeah. It's done really well. What I really, really liked was at the last episode. It kind of rounded everything off at the same time as wanting you to progress into part 2. The last episode kind of gave you a reveal of something.
Yeah.
However, in my opinion, the whole episode is about the reveal, and I kind of clocked it in like the first 5 minutes. I was like, oh, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they kind of slowly drew to that moment, and I was like, okay, I've nailed it. All right, I've nailed it. And then in genuinely the last scene, it like shows you. And I'm just reveal. Yeah, I know. Like I've been saying this for the whole episode, which was a bit of a shame, but it also was quite good. And you realize it basically shows you a lot,
everything up to it so far.
everything up to what's happened so far, and you're just like kind of mind blown. I was mind blown, and it was more about like, oh, that's quite cool. That's an interesting way that they did it. But yeah, stoked for part 2. Let's
awesome.
go.
Well, speaking of mind blowing, shall we move on to our next show that we're watching?
Yes, and I will have to do the same with you because I've not seen all 3 episodes.
All right, okay. How many episodes have you seen?
I've seen 1.5.
One and a half.
However, my manager at the surf school, Charlie, he said, "Oh, it's hilarious. Homelander makes the Deep do something really ridiculously disgusting, fucking diabolical."
Yeah, I know it's grim.
And I didn't know if it was in episode 2 or episode 3, but I've not seen it yet, so I don't know what he's talking about.
I think it's episode 3. Yes.
So
3.
Where I am right now is midway through episode 2. Where you've just found out that all spoilers for season 3, by the way, so far.
Yeah.
The counselor, the person like going up for mayor or something.
Yes,
the girl,
Newman.
Yeah, so she's obviously at the end of season 2. It's revealed that she is the one that blows people's heads up. No pun intended for your. It blew my mind. And Huey is now working with her. He is now Butcher's boss, and Butcher doesn't really like that because he's not allowed to kill
Department of Superhuman
Supes.
Affairs.
Amazing. FBSI.
Department of Superhuman.
It was Federal Department of
Superhuman Affairs. SHA.
But yeah, so all this has happened, and what I just found out is that she is quite close to Los Pollos, up in the higher rankings, and he knew about her all along, which I thought was interesting. That's kind of where I am right now.
Nice.
You know, the chief Los Pollos Hermanos guy.
Yes, Stan Edgar. Also, they're adding the Pelican from Halo. Do you remember the Halo dropship? They're adding that to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It looks incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so Stan Edgar, Victoria Newman are in cahoots by the looks of things. We still don't know enough about that. Homelander has gone completely off the deep end. He's
like, what I quite like about the character of Homelander is he's a bad dude, but at the same time, he's only a bad guy because he had a really shit upbringing. He found out where he was really from, and his whole life has been about ratings and social media and like point. You never really know what these points are, but they always talk about the points.
It's an American thing.
All right. And it's like, he's only being a bad guy because of what you've done to him, really. Like, he's so fucked up in his mind that it's all about popularity. And then it's his birthday, and then he goes to save this woman trying to commit suicide. And he's like, do you know what? Just fucking jump. I don't care anymore. It's like, what the fuck? And then what I love most about The Boys is the amount of CGI they put into the bodies just exploding. And the things that come out of the body
I think a lot of that is practical. Like, there's some practical blood and effects in there, and then I think they expand they add to it.
It's so funny. And the best bit was probably the first scene in episode 1. You know, they don't hold back. They go right into what you said, what the fans are asking for. And you know, there's another party with Supes. And then this guy's like fucking a Barbie doll, and because he can shrink really, really small.
Yes,
and
then the Ant-Man. He is Ant-Man.
He's Ant-Man, basically.
Termite.
He's like on coke. He's getting drunk, and he goes back to human size. And the camera really points out that he has like a cold or something, and he goes, Ach!
No, it's because he takes cocaine. And it probably stings his nose, and then he sneezes. And it's so. That's just what I said to you in the chat. I said, it's really got big foreshadowing, and you don't think about it, and then he sneezes. Well, you gotta go. Oh, you immediately. I immediately just went, oh no. Well, like, I could see exactly what's about to happen here.
So he's, I think, bisexual. I don't know. He fucked a doll and then a man, but
I don't think he cares. He's superhuman.
Yeah, fair enough. And then basically his mate goes, I want you to get inside me. And you think, okay, but like butt stuff. I don't know. And then he just whaps his willy out, puts his willy on the table, and then he shrinks down. And the camera angle of him on the table, and it's just this huge dick, this dick head, and the little urethra. And then he just jumps on in and starts like stroking the sides and stuff. And the guy's having a great time. And then they quickly change the mood, and he goes, oh, and you're like, oh my God, he's going to sneeze. And then you immediately know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And then he sneezes and kills his boyfriend.
Yeah, because he comes back up to regular size at the speed of light.
It's so fucking horrible. And he's just he's just so distraught and like confused and like, what's just happened?
And then Frenchie kicks open the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then Frenchie gets sacre bleu. And then he gets terrified because the guy shrinks down. He's like, he's trying to get into my ass. It's very funny.
Apparently this was inspired by the Ant-Man and Thanos memes.
Amazing. He's going into his ass and then just
but
expands.
How Ant-Man could just expand inside Thanos and that would be the end of it. And they went, we can do this.
Yeah, totally. I love the boys so much. And I love that they don't hold back anymore. Yeah,
there's a couple of... that's weird. How have we got a timer on this one?
Yeah, I know. Zoom's changed.
Yeah. Anyway, right. So yeah, there's... the whole thing about it is up to that point. Yeah, you need to watch up to the end of episode 3. Also, apparently there's even worse in episode 4. Apparently there's an episode called Herogasm. That is apparently apparently the guy that plays Homelander has not watched it back yet because it's just grim.
Oh, wow.
I tell you what, one thing that made me laugh was that, have you seen Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy yet?
No,
maybe
not.
Not yet.
Butcher's trying to find him.
Yeah, so there's a flashback and he's in it, and it's quite funny.
Soldier Boy.
Yeah, Soldier Boy's in this flashback, and it's quite funny watching him play Soldier Boy, knowing that he was on the shortlist for Captain America back in the day. And actually, you kind of go, actually, he'd have made a really good Captain America, but he plays Soldier Boy really well.
Yeah.
You kind of go, all right, no, I get it now. Yeah, that make a lot of sense.
I think I've seen a clip somewhere on YouTube or something, just like by accident, or on Instagram, where he's doing like a Captain America Be Safe video.
Yes. Yeah,
and he's
that is funny.
He's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't fucking, like, people aren't going to listen to this or whatever he says. But it looks, I'm excited to get back to it. I ran out of data on my little home hub thing.
Oh no.
So I haven't been able to stream since maybe 4 days ago. But it's back on Monday, so I'll be able to finish The Boys on Monday. Living in a campsite is quite difficult.
I'll bet it is. But yeah, it's once again, it's great. Everyone's getting their time to shine. They know what they're doing. It's the plot is flowing. Yeah, it's just really enjoyable.
Very, very good.
It's obviously dark and grim, and you've got to appreciate that kind of humor, or you're not going to find it fun. And there's just more gross stuff that happens. It's just, and there's other bits. Has he met Gunpowder? Have you met Gunpowder yet?
Yeah, so he just got shot by Gunpowder in the car park.
Yes, after he walks right up to him at the urinal and says, "Hi, I'm your biggest fan."
Yeah. I really, really like the character of Butcher. I think he's so funny.
Yeah.
And also just like the whole like character arc of him hating soups and then finding out that his wife has a soup as a son, and then his son killing his wife, and then having to be like, she's like, he's a good kid, like don't kill him because he's a superhero. The fact that he has to deal with that, and I feel like he's not, you can still see that he's not like, he doesn't want to do it. But he's also been given like a new version of the V formula. Yeah. Compound
is part of Staniger's overall plan for making a whole load of money.
A temp soup.
Well, the idea is that they can sell it to the soldiers and then basically have to keep selling it to the military.
Yeah. So I don't know if he'll do it. Maybe he will. But in the trailers, it shows that he might have. But then also I've seen that sort of, it's not a flashback, but it's like in his head. he pretended in his head to take it, and you saw that, and I'm pretty sure that was from the trailers.
I struggled for a bit where Homelander arrives at the house and basically says, let's just have a good old fashioned, like, knock him down, drag it out, brawl.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like him imagining that, but apparently he was there. But then he talks to him on the telly.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking, wait, was that all that bit kind of had me a bit weird. I had to watch that bit back again. That's probably my only complaint was that bit so far.
Yeah.
But no, it's good, and I'm very excited to see how this rolls out. And we'll probably have a bigger review once Eddie's back of all the episodes.
Yeah. Lots more, please.
Times.
Can't wait. Something that More Boys is good. Unfortunately, on our next topic, more Obi-Wan, maybe not so good. I'll go straight into my initial thoughts. I've seen episodes 1 through 4.
4, yep.
Yeah. And it's fine. It's fine. I feel like what I was worried about is that Disney, this is the other thing that I'm worried about with Daredevil, is that Disney will take a hold of it and make it family friendly. And for the story, for what I was hoping for is the story of Obi-Wan seems to be now the story of Leia. And I've been a bit annoyed about that. She's great. The actress that plays Leia is really good, and she kind of nails it, actually, on how you would expect Leia at a 10-year-old level would act. But it just seems like, again, like The Mandalorian, where, we'll get Obi-Wan with a small person to hang out with, and it's, he has to go on this mission to this planet, or go and save her from this planet. It just seems very video gamey, which is what the first season of The Mandalorian felt like. Which is man goes to this bit, does mission. Man meets other person that needs help with this, so it does this mission. I thought, and then there's been a lot of memes online as well of things that they can't get around. Yeah. Which there's like a laser barrier in the middle of a desert.
Yep.
But he's trying really hard to like break the thing. Yeah. It's like you could just go around it. The fire that happens when Obi-Wan meets Darth Vader. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, that's episode 3. Yeah.
So for some reason, the fire that Vader started with his lightsaber, and then chokes up at Obi-Wan, and then drags him through the fire. Yeah. Somehow can't do it again once the big robot comes. And also the camera pans out, and they could just kind of walk around the fire. And then the other one was I can't remember what the other one was, but there's just certain things in this season, in this TV show, where I'm just like, why? Like I really like the character arc of Obi-Wan. It's been 10 years since episode 3. Yeah. And he's shunned the Force, and he's not using the Force, and he's kind of rusty, and he's not very good. And he kind of wants to hide away from it so that he can be safe and Luke and everyone else can be safe. And then all this stuff gets shunned upon him. When he finds out that Vader's still alive, great acting. Yeah. I can watch Ewan McGregor, Scotland's Own, in almost anything. He's amazing. Yeah. But I just feel like they're not doing enough about the Obi-Wan Vader story. And I kind of hope that where we are now in the story, we can forget about Leia and focus on what's happening. However, we've only got 2 episodes left, and it's just like, you've just spent 3 episodes with this little girl.
Okay. So,
and one other thing before you talk is Hayden Christensen. I wish we had more of him, because somehow we're just having Mufasa be the voice, which is fine because that is the voice of Vader. But I don't know. I just expected more. Like, why would they get Hayden Christensen in if they weren't going to show him more? Unless they do later on.
Yeah, unless they do. I think the problem is that there's so much to talk about. I mean, I don't mind Leia like as a character. Kat and I were talking about this, and if you've met some 10-year-olds, they act like that. Kat was telling me when if you've seen 10-year-olds sort of that come from that sort of like a political family, or a child that comes from a well-off family, sometimes comes from a family like that where they have to do a lot of the politics or whatever, and they go to like private school in the summer and summer school and all that sort of stuff. Kat was saying that some of the kids that go to summer school talk exactly like that. So that I don't have a problem with. Leia overall is quite well written and a good character. I would say one of the key issues I have with this show is the directing of it. And I know that I'm not a director, so it's kind of a bit rich, but I'm going to do it anyway. Leia running away from those guys, the kidnappers, was so dumb.
The worst.
It's so
it was
dumb.
the worst. How did all those grown people not manage to catch this small child?
A 10-year-old running, obviously, they're not fully developed adults, so they're going to run, right? But they could have done it a lot. When she started sliding through the trees and the bushes, that made a lot more sense. She was using the environment that she grew up in, and that made a lot more sense. It didn't make any sense because she was running down a track with nothing in front of her, and she was running like a 3-year-old.
Yeah. And
like
wasn't getting and fully grown people were not catching up to her.
Correct. No one was catching her. It didn't make any sense.
Not even cameo of the day, Flea from the Chili's.
Yeah, so that I didn't understand. I didn't like the fact that her dad, Organa, Bail Organa,
Jimmy,
he calls Obi-Wan, and then basically arrives in the cave. Instead of just, if that whole first episode could have been better if you just deleted the call part and then had Obi-Wan. And the other thing with that episode is it keeps reverting back between Obi-Wan Kenobi, Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Leia. What they should have done was, in my opinion, is dealt with Leia first and almost not had Obi-Wan at the start of this. So like get her bit over and done with, and then not have Obi-Wan in it until like the back half of that episode. It sounds bold, but then when he appears, and then of course you also have the silly scene where he meets the Jedi in the middle of the desert, and then they're in the middle
the fake Jedi.
There's the fake Jedi. No, the Jedi in the middle of Tatooine.
Oh yeah,
and
the young one.
Then there's also Reva and the Grand Inquisitor are looking for and she can mind read the one guy, but then she doesn't decide to mind read Owen Lars, who's right next to Obi, and Obi-Wan's like 6 feet away, and
he's also like this.
Yeah, the entire time.
I don't see a Jedi.
There's just weird bits like that, and that is to me that's strange. Some people don't mind it. I just don't understand. I did see some people have been calling the character of Reva Darth Tantrum because she just shouts at everybody. She would be a lot better as a character if she was more cold and calculating. I think if you watch the Inquisitors in Star Wars Rebels, where they were originally came from, they're a lot more calculating and quite villainous. And I'm not really getting a lot of villainy from them, which I think is a bit strange.
What's really frustrating is I got a lot of villainy from the initial Grand Inquisitor, but he's now...
even though the Grand Inquisitor is in Rebels, which takes place after this. So...
Oh, does it really?
Yeah. That's one of the issues. Like, is he dead? Is there a spare? Is there another one? Is he got a brother? Who knows?
You've seen up to the part where he dies.
Yeah. I've
right,
seen all
okay,
that.
so
that's like episode 1 or 2.
All right, okay. So the fact that he dies, and I'm like, oh, well, he was the Grand Inquisitor, and he actually seemed like he knew what was going on. Reva seems like, a bit of a hothead. She'll just do what she wants to do. And the fact that she killed him, I was a bit disappointed at. I like her character, but I just thought the decisions that they've made are quite bad. And then also, is the other Inquisitor who always seems tactical, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. Fifth brother. He seems really diabolical and structured and a bit like scary. So, but he never gets to be scary because she's always there.
So there's a couple other bits that really stand out for me. And this is one I want to talk about because we're talking about Stranger Things, okay? Stranger Things, season 4, we talked about this earlier, looks like it has a lot of love put into it.
Yes.
It looks, the sets are great, the acting's great, it's been given all the time in the world to tell its story, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that the third episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi takes place in the cheapest looking set I have ever seen in Star Wars?
Yeah.
That quarry was they're on another desert planet. Like, what is going on here? Because, and this is a rant, Obi-Wan Kenobi is like one of the main characters of Star Wars, okay? Generations of people know who Obi-Wan Kenobi is, okay?
Yeah. The whole prequel was his
40
story.
minutes? Why are the episodes 40 minutes? Why is the episode time varying so much? Why is it going up and down? Why does it look cheap? Like, why is there just an outpost in the middle of the fucking desert? Why are they on another desert planet? Why is this taking place in this terrible little quarry town, mining town, when they could have had this, if they'd slowed down, if you'd had the thing with Vader in the middle of that city planet from the episode before, with all the neon around, in the dark, that would have looked cool. But no. Now, the other thing is people then go, oh, it must be budget constraints. Budget constraints? It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And it's Disney. They've got all the money.
Why are you limiting the budget to this? I don't understand it. You know what I mean? If you look at Stranger Things, right, and then look at this, and this is supposed to be a flagship show, one is definitely had money spent on it, and the other one looks like they were scraping the bottom of the barrel for everything else except the actors and actresses. And I don't understand it. It makes no... And that's why it feels so cheap.
Yeah.
And half of it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean by that?
I totally know what you mean.
It was only after watching Stranger Things last night, I was sitting there thinking, God, imagine if they put half this effort into Obi-Wan Kenobi in terms of set design.
Set design, story.
Music. Where's the music in this?
I've got something to say as well.
Where's the hints of the Empire theme? Where's the hints of the Imperial March? Where is a little bit of Duel of the Fates?
Where's Duel of the Fates?
Being implemented into it. It doesn't have to be the same, but where is it?
So bad. I've got some notes from Lloyd Jones and my brother, both very passionate men, especially when it comes to Star Wars, and especially when it comes to just talking about movies and
just
script writing, just talking. So I'm just going to read this out, and then you'll enjoy it. So there's been a few lame bits in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've not seen episode 4 yet, but Vader just letting Obi-Wan get picked up and taken away by that robot did not compute with me. Lol. He's the most powerful man in the galaxy, and apparently this robot is his biggest enemy.
Yep.
He just lets him get scooped up and taken away.
Yep.
Correct. I watched it last night. It was horseshit in my opinion. Could watch Ewan McGregor act all day, but he's not getting any material to work with. Feeling more and more like it's not Obi-Wan's story at all. It's also a real struggle to see past the budget, flat lighting, poor direction, and terrible acting. He also said, 100% saw that the whole robot thing, watched that, got mega confused. He picked him up with the Force. I had mentioned this already in the podcast. Why can't he do it again 1 minute later? The budget
it's on a cooldown timer, right? You can't spam the moves.
It's like a game.
Yeah.
His I don't know, stamina has to go back up.
Stamina bar, yeah.
Lloyd again, the budget's been noticeable throughout the whole thing. Were they trying to show Vader has a fear of fire, thus couldn't get past the fire? I'm not sure, because you can see his face. Also, he started the fire intentionally. If their war wasn't obvious, also, surely he can just extinguish the fire with his fucking mind. It seemed a very half-baked scene. They wanted Kenobi and Vader to meet, but they can't have him die. So, let's put something a bit half-assed and hope people don't mind it too much.
But they totally could have done that. But they fucked with it. It's this like that. If that is the duel and we don't get another one, I am outraged. We must.
It continue. I'm not finished yet. It continues.
The other one, there's another one that really got me just whilst we're on this thing about the fire, right? So that entire scene, which obviously I've said I hated, okay?
Yeah.
They tease the igniting of Obi-Wan's lightsaber for the first time, okay? Vader ignites his. It cuts to Obi-Wan in the sort of showdown stance. You go, right, this is going to be good. Yeah. And then he just runs away. And he just runs away. And then in the next scene, when he kind of is looking around, it all of a sudden hears a noise and ignites it. But there's no fan. Like, that was supposed to be a fanfare moment. Like, that's supposed to be an iconic scene. That whole shot. If you think back to at least Boba Fett, and I know Boba Fett had its own problems, right? But if you think about the Dave Filoni episode, when Cad Bane arrives, right, in episode 5.
Dude, that's a standoff,
But you get the scene. The scene is set. You've got the music. You get the film. You get the shot of Cad Bane pulling. You see him look up from his hat. You see him pull his coat back, and you go, "Yes,
nice, done well.
This is exactly what you want from a character." I just don't understand that. That just really annoyed me. Was the whole teasing of the lightsaber scene was just daft.
They continue. Before I continue with what they've said, I 100% agree with that, because what you want is a standoff, and you want him to ignite that lightsaber, and you're just like, fucking here it comes. Rather than him get spooked and go, oh, put it back on.
He runs off stage left. And we don't need him to be the badass. I totally get this idea that he's not been
struggling with it. He's trying to get rid of it. Yeah.
That's okay. I can live with that. It was the way it was direct. And he runs off stage left and comes back on stage left or something.
As we talk about this, my brother, who's clearly done some research in it as well, because he loves to do that. Yeah. Apparently, the first draft of this scene where he rips through the town was super hardcore. Disney stepped in and demanded they tone it down. I assume Disney have also stepped in and made this more of a Oh, Siri, bugger off. I assume Disney have also stepped in and made this more of a Leia Reva story rather than an Obi-Wan story. Why sell this as an Obi-Wan Darth Vader story when they're only getting a fraction of a scene together? This should have been a movie with a proper budget and less fetch quest missions. The entire thing is Ewan taking care of Leia like The Mandalorian did with Baby Yoda, which I mentioned before. It's the only plot you can follow with these shows. I give it a solid 3 out of 10 from me, maybe a 5 out of 10 by the end if we get some badass Obi-Wan. Give me some more of the Duel of the Fates lightsaber fights with him and Darth Maul. What I did quite like is that the brief fight scene felt natural progression. Like, Darth's body is basically half robot now, so it must be fucked. So his saber fighting skills were more like that if someone was to hold a really long sword. Yeah. Obi-Wan has aged. He's not nimble young Jedi anymore, so that fit as well with their little fight. It's always jarred with me how ridiculous the saber fights are in the prequels versus the originals. So this felt a bit more in line with how Vader and Kenobi fought in A New Hope, rather than through the prequels, and felt, it's been 10 years' time when these two bodies they're more fucked up. That lame fight.
If you don't surf for 10 years, you'd be surfing for a while.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Jamie agrees. Jamie says, Obi-Wan has clearly distanced himself from the Force, so his skills have dropped to zero. It's a good character arc in concept to have him rise back up to meet Darth Vader and embrace the Force, but we don't get enough of it. I want him to reach out. What happened to the whole chatting to Qui-Gon? That was just episode 1 and they've forgotten about that whole storyline.
That's going to be the final episode or episode 5.
I want 100%. Him to try and reach out more to Qui-Gon and explain the Force. Loved the line about the Force being like turning a light on. There's some gems, but then the plot gets in the way. Darth is great. They just need to up the budget and increase the music. John Williams wrote the music for this, yet it doesn't even feel like he has. It feels incomplete. No Imperial March, no Duel of the Fates, and they used both of this music in the trailers. That's it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think my biggest bugbear, until we finish it, I can't say. But genuinely, I think my biggest thing is that they went to another shitty desert planet. The sets seem to be uninspired.
Yeah.
And I think that for
they feel
this
very
show and
setty.
This character, it's kind of, when they first did The Mandalorian, that was a big gamble. Okay? This isn't a gamble. People are going to watch Obi-Wan Kenobi. So the whole thing doesn't track with me. It just seems a bit strange. And it just, the problem is they've ruined, I think Disney have ruined this. I think you can still enjoy it and you can still watch it and you can still take bits from it and enjoy parts of it and still kind of, but it's not what it could have been. It could have been something truly epic over 6 episodes. And I think the fact they've basically shot themselves in the foot with it. And you'll just lose more and more people.
Yeah.
To Disney. Like, it's just kind of pointless. I also think the fact that, it seems to the producers and director, there's no Jon Favreau, there's no Dave Filoni. I'm not saying they're great. I mean, they're just as guilty as producing bad stuff like the Book of Boba Fett, but they've had a lot more hits than misses recently.
Yes.
So I don't quite understand why they're not involved.
The guy that wrote Rogue One, a guy called Gary Whitta. Yeah. Gary Whitta, an incredible writer. They should have got him in to do some of this stuff because he clearly knows the background and the history of it, and he knows how to write a short, like to the point story. Albeit Rogue One was a movie, but the objective was Rogue One. We want you to talk about those that got the Death Star plans, and they clearly don't make it back because they're not in the rest of the movie. This is a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's called Obi-Wan Kenobi, and for some reason we don't really know much about him yet.
I don't mind the Leia. I think what they should have done, right, and this is generally so. You set up Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first episode. You have him arrive. Let's set up the Leia kidnapping plot first. Set that up, and then have the scenes with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then have Reva be the Inquisitors being like inquisiting, but just visit, like doing stuff. That's okay. They could have done that a bit better. Then have the city scene where he goes to find her. Have the Darth Vader scene in the city. Okay, so stay in that location. Have him then escape Vader by the absolute skin of his teeth. Okay, and then from there, I don't know what will happen from there, but then from there, if you can then get Leia back, get Leia picked up by somebody, and then he has to make it back to Tatooine by and therefore the adventures are him trying to evade and capture from there, and you can have a couple of bases instead of continually having to, fetch Leia again. Yeah. I think that would work, but who knows? I mean, by the end of it, I'll have a better opinion, hopefully. But there's things I just don't like about it.
It's a strong example of
actresses. It's just the cheapness is actually one of the biggest things.
The budget is the biggest thing, I think. It's a big example of comparing it to Top Gun, which we all absolutely loved. Bringing back a character that everyone loved and has an expectation for, and just not stepping up to the plate. You're taking that 3-point shot and you're not sinking it into the net.
I think the other thing about him is that you've got Obi Wick moments where he's got a blaster and he's absolutely like going full John Wick on people. Obi Wick, Kenobi.
Yeah, Obi Wick, very good.
Kenobi Wick. But because he goes full John Wick on people, but then he's useless at other things, and that kind of doesn't track with me like that.
There's little things that the prequels were good at that had a little bit of comedy within Obi-Wan. And albeit, it's been 10 years, his brother died, or that he thought, he's given up the Force, he's a bit sad. Yeah. But just sort of still having that Obi-Wan sense of humor somewhere, because it's not there anymore. And like using a gun and being like, so uncivilized, or like. I
think the whole thing about him, he needed to use the Force more. So what he doesn't have, what he should be doing instead of John Wicking those guys at the trucks at the barrier in the middle, the barrier that's not a barrier to anything. Do you know what the problem is with the barrier scene? Quickly, the one thing about the barrier scene is he destroys the barrier and doesn't take the truck. Yeah. If he destroyed the barrier and got back in the truck, it would make sense.
Here you go, listener, watchers. Here's all 3 scenes of we can't get around that, which is
the barrier scene. If he had shot it, then got back in the truck and then got stopped, it would make sense. But it doesn't, because he just walks through it. As he just walked around it. What? I don't understand. I don't understand how he might have got old and he might have got out of shape, but he shouldn't have got dumb.
Yeah,
like this is the guy that if you watch
he's
the Clone
still
Wars
smart
TV show, he's super smart. You don't evade capture for that long without being smart and careful. So yeah, it's Anyway, this is kind of leads on to something else, which was the Interceptor film on Netflix that I wanted to tell you about.
Ah, yes. Moving on very quickly.
Moving on from Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's an hour and a half, okay?
Yeah.
It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It tells the plot. If you've read Matthew Riley's books, which I have, pretty much all of them, you know what you're going to get. He likes writing like it's an 80s action film. It is literally an 80s action film. It demands nothing. Sure enough. And sure enough, there's maybe a couple bits you're like, not too sure, but it doesn't affect your enjoyment of it. It doesn't take you out of it. It finishes, you go, that wasn't too bad. Some people online have hated it, but the point is, tying us back to Obi-Wan Kenobi, it made best use of the budget that it had. It has humor, it has bits of humor in it. Some of the lines don't land, but then like I said, it kind of like this ode to 80s action films, like Under Siege. It's just it's going back to like Stranger Things. It's an example of how to use the money that you've been given, or when you can't spend it. And then obviously actors and actresses that just want to be there, and are kind of directed well, and the action scenes are good. So yeah, worth watching. But that was that's my point. Is that they make good use of an hour and a half, and Obi-Wan Kenobi seems to struggle to fill the time that they have.
I know that you mentioned that. Why is it this time? Why is it shorter? Why is it longer?
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of that on a lot of streaming TV shows, and I imagine it's probably just down to the fact that it's not on basic cable anymore. So like you don't have anything behind you that you need to finish at a certain time. Back in the day of television, it had to be 20 minutes or it had to be 19 minutes, including commercials, so that it would finish at this time and then the next one would go. So I understand how TV shows now, when you look at Stranger Things or you look at Obi-Wan, that the first episode's 40 minutes, but the second episode's 26 minutes. Maybe they're just maybe it's just the story that they've written and they're like, well, that's how long it's going to take.
Yeah, it just feels like for Obi-Wan Kenobi, you could have done something else. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I've not seen Interceptor. It had mixed reviews, but I might give it a go when I want to watch something without thinking about anything.
Yeah, it's a good old-fashioned action film.
Yeah.
And fair play to Elsa Pateki, by the way, because she got in shape.
Yeah.
Because she got on that Chris Hemsworth diet. Her husband helped her.
She'll be on the center app with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, exactly. Fair play to her. She did all her action scenes and stuff, so...
Sweet.
Yeah, fair play to her.
Such a tiny
should we talk about some trailers before...
Yes, let's. Straight off the bat, here's a new thing. I'll put some music in here.
Ooh.
And then we'll go into trailer time. Welcome everyone to a podcast within a podcast called Trailer Time. Introduced by me, usually hosted by Eddie, but actually hosted by me, and then Duncan gets confused.
And then Duncan puts the content in.
And then Duncan puts all the content in, and then we watch it all and then talk about it. Kicking right off with Prey have released a new trailer, which gives you more of what's actually going to happen rather than the sort of teaser that they gave, which really didn't do anything for you. No. If anything, you got really angry.
I got really cross. I'm still cross about it. I still think my idea for Predator film's better, but it just looks better. And the trailer sells it a bit more. I still don't know how, if you look at Predator throughout history, it's kind of always been very sort of athletic people that have fought the Predator. And I'm slightly not convinced that a small, possible 100-pound person or multiple 100 people that are of a slight build are going to be able to deal with an 8-foot-tall monster that likes to rip people to shreds. But it looks, it's on Disney. If it's coming to Disney Plus, I'll give it a shot. It looks different. But the trailer's definitely a better trailer.
Who's it written by? Because it says Hulu, but then it's
Hulu is Disney.
Hulu is Disney, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know who it's written by. I don't know much about it. It kind of caught me by surprise.
Oh, it's it was 20th Century Studios, I think. Which
they have
which is
the
Fox,
Predator license,
which is owned by Disney now. So
hopefully it comes to Disney Plus.
If it comes
in this country,
I'll maybe give it a go. I get the feeling that you're struggling to figure out how these people survive against the Predator, and it's probably going to be the main character. She's like, she knows how to survive, is how she said. And
but then she goes and tries to hunt a grizzly bear with a bow and arrow, and you don't hunt a grizzly bear. Nobody hunts grizzly bears, even with shotguns.
But then in the trailer, you see a little montage of her like having like a axe on a rope, and then you briefly see her covered in mud, circa Predator movie. So
Dutch.
I reckon she'll probably survive because she's.
I think it'd be like
surviving.
that. I think the sort of finale is going to be very similar to Predator 1, but we'll wait and see. But it looks, trailer looks good. But let's talk about another sort of trailer that I'm not, a film that I just don't care about, which is Black Adam.
I'm glad you said that because I saw that they'd launched the trailer and then I clicked on it, and albeit it looks, as a DC movie, it looks a lot better than what I've seen previously in terms of budget. Like we've talked about budget the whole time. Budget and effects. The whole thing looks pretty cool. The way he flies actually looks quite interesting.
Yeah.
And the way that he like speed moves and stuff is quite good.
He's basically Superman.
However, he's basically Superman. It's The Rock being The Rock in a movie about The Rock. But this time he actually has a fairly obvious reason as to why he's unkillable and really strong.
He, I mean, fair play to him. He did. I've seen a few of his like Facebook posts and stuff, and he put in more work than usual to get even more in superhero shape. And it's kind of funny because obviously his character is like the nemesis of like Shazam, who's Zachary Levi.
Yeah, because he's got the same logo.
Yeah,
right,
the same marking. Yeah, and it's quite funny to think that a lot of those actors and actresses in that film apparently wore like a suit with like extra muscle padded into it, and The Rock is basically like just spray tanned onto him.
Yeah, it looks really thin.
Because he's that huge. It's just funny to think that the guy that plays Shazam is kind of like, look at my muscles and stuff, and The Rock's like, yeah, cool story, bro.
Look at my muscles as he flexes and this whole thing rips off his body.
Yeah, so it's fair play to him for that. He seems to be very excited for it.
He's The Rock. He's excited for life.
Yeah, Dr. Fate looks cool. With Pierce Brosnan playing Dr. Fate, was basically like the Doctor Strange of
is he?
DC. It's kind of cool. He looks kind of fun and cool, and it looks like Atom's in it as well with shrinking and stuff. And Hawkman is in it as well.
Oh yeah.
So it looks fun. I think I will watch it on Netflix possibly. I don't think even I will go to the cinema to watch this.
I mean, I think my initial reaction after the trailer finished was, okay, it's a superhero movie with The Rock. He's a superhero. Cool. We'll see. Moving on
to
actually
Modern Warfare.
This looks really cool. I don't know if it's the gameplay or the person playing it. It's very slow compared to what I associate Call of Duty with. In terms of like
modern ones have slow missions and fast missions. It's just like a movie, like it's a real campaign. One of the best missions they had was in the last Modern Warfare, which I played the shit out of. The most recent, like 2019 one. The guy, there's a mission called, what's it called? They basically go into a London. They're anti-terrorist, and they go into a London block, like a townhouse. And you get to clear the townhouse with silent weapons as you go. It's really cinematic. And it's kind of a bit like Zero Dark 30 because you're wearing night vision the entire time. And at the end, you have to like make judgment calls during the mission. Like there's a woman with a child, and you can hear her baby crying as she goes to reach for the baby and then whips a gun round.
Oh.
And and if you shoot the wrong person, you fail the mission.
Oh, right.
So you've got to tactical assess when things happen. It's stressful. That's why I watched this video and went, oh, this is very similar. They're kind of doing the same thing.
It's very stealthy, very tactical.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in a mission in like real life and like things happen and the shooting's very precise, and you're not like just spraying to try and get someone.
Which
You're going.
you still do, but it's like there's different missions. Their campaign looks so. Their Infinity Wars campaigns, to be fair to them, it's good.
This is why I was going to talk about games like this. Is when GTA 5 first came out with its online thing, and then it was fine, and you could do some missions, and then they brought out heists, which really kind of changed the game.
Yeah.
I really want something like COD or Battlefield to come out with a version like that. So you're online, but it's not online 24v24. It's online, you and your 5 mates doing a mission, a recon thing of like getting onto a boat, taking everyone out. So it is like a heist. That would be so sick if COD or Battlefield did something like that.
COD kind of did in Modern Warfare 1, the recent Modern Warfare. They had one called, they got a mission called Spec Ops, where you and your friends would have to complete co-op objectives and go through this story. And you kind of had to go about this. The maps were really quite big. It was like in the Warzone map, so you kind of had to do these Spec Ops.
That's exactly
missions.
what I'm talking about.
So they kind of did that. It wasn't very popular, but it's If they maybe they'll rework it and give it another shot. But it just looks cool. I just thought it's interesting that playing Battlefield and Battlefield's come under a lot of shit, and this Modern Warfare 2 looks very enticing.
It does, and I can't wait. I can't wait for my house to be built, two to move in, 3 buy myself an Xbox, and then start playing this with you guys because I am really having some games withdrawal. Not getting my Game Boys in, gaming with my boys.
Playing with the boys, Kenny Loggins. I think we should move on to Day Shift, which was a Geek Week Netflix inside look.
Yes, this looks
produced
class, but
by
also
Chaz Stileski. Well, it's kind of back to the Interceptor thing. Producer Chaz Stileski of Matrix, stunt guy, John Wick director. So I have hope for this because he knows action. Yeah,
the action scenes will be good.
Yeah,
the story we'll find out.
Yeah, he looks like he knows how to do this type of action, so I'm all in for that. And it just goes. It also, Jamie Foxx was really excited when he was talking.
This is what I was talking about in my notes. Was God damn it, Siri?
He has you so hyped for it.
So hyped for it. What has happened here? Hold on. He's super hyped for it, and I didn't realize it was an inside trailer. Like I thought it was just the trailer, but it's like interviewing people. And Jamie Foxx is just like, this movie's so great. You're going to have that, oh shit, popcorn moment. And he's like pretending to eat popcorn. And then he's like, you're going to be sipping on your juice. Like, and it was like, I'm like, oh my God.
He's a better Will Smith.
Jamie Foxx is really, really hyping this up. He is a better Will Smith. He's a better singer. He's a better musician. He's a better actor.
He's better at everything.
And he's chosen the right decisions.
I think that, we talked about this on a previous podcast. I think that bugs Will Smith. Jamie Foxx is cooler than him. He just is. He is. I saw Jamie Foxx in this and went, actually, this looks kind of fun. I'm not saying everything Jamie Foxx does is good, but you've got to have some duds. But
imagine having Will Smith in this role, and you'll probably go, oh God, another shitty Will Smith movie.
If this was Will Smith, I don't think I'd watch this. But Jamie Foxx got me so hyped up for it. I was thinking, I'm kind of excited for this.
So true. So
it's a good.
What is it about? He's a guy that kills for money, but it's vampires.
Yeah, he kills vampires for money.
Right. And he gets their fangs.
I'm sure once the actual trailer comes out. Yeah, he sells their fangs. I don't know if they have they must have some sort of black market for fangs or something.
Yeah, weird.
I don't know, but the action scenes look good. They hired what do you call it? They hired a contortionist to do the vampire scene.
What's a contortionist?
In the trailer? It's the girl, like she can contort her body so that she's kind of.
Oh right, that wasn't CGI.
Although she's walking spider. That's her. She's eventually doing that, and that's when she does that, and she flips her leg, and she kind of makes the whole walking thing. All the cast and crew are if you watch the bit, they're all watching it on the camera, and they all go, ah!
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's nasty.
Yeah, so if you go back and watch that, she does it, and they all go, oh no,
oh Jesus,
it's so creepy. Yeah. Oh Jesus. So that's good. That's just fun. So I'm high hopes.
High hopes.
High hopes. Excited.
Looks
for
good.
that.
For any of the trailers that we've talked about or listened to, and you've not seen them, give them a listen or give them a watch. Even they're very, very good. We've also got a little bit more time.
Level gameplay. Day shift. Yeah, day shift.
Any update on the Xbox Live?
We've got Forza Motorsport's coming next year. They've got Forza Motorsport Hot Wheels expansion pack for Horizon 5. That looks fun. So you'll be able to drive Hot Wheels tracks. That looks kind of fun. So far, I'll need to go back and watch. We've been talking some flight sim stuff. It looks like they've announced a lot of Blizzard stuff because I think Blizzard is now part of Microsoft.
Yeah, did they not? Yeah, did they not buy it?
Yeah, so it looks like they're announcing a lot of that to come to Game Pass. Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, Grounded's in full release, which looks kind of fun. It looks like it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but in the back garden. This kind of looks like a fun aside. I'm sure we'll find some trailers that will come out after today, the full trailers. I guess, and that'll be next week's podcast.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So yeah, better. I think we should leave it there, and I'll go back and watch this and start prepping.
Yes, we will. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's episode. Remember, you can catch us on all the socials at That's Class Pod, or email us on that'sclasspod@gmail.com. Send us a question. Send us some lovely messages about how you love the show. Excuse me. Hold on. Make sure you share it with your friends. Tell them that you should listen to it. If you're into movies, if you're into TV shows, video games, that's all we talk about, basically. New video is up all at the same time on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, whenever I find time to upload them, basically. Keep those notification bells on, and then you will find out when we upload those episodes. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next week, and have a super day. Say goodbye, Duncan.
Goodbye, Duncan.
And Eddie is not here, so we will just end the episode now.
Goodbye.